Hey everyone, and welcome back to English Flowing, the podcast where we slow down, breathe, and practice English together while talking about real life. I'm Dom.
And I'm Larissa. And if this is your first time here, welcome to our little corner of the internet. This is a safe space. There's no judgment here, no pressure to speak perfectly. We just want you to relax, listen, and feel something while you learn.
Exactly. And before we start, if you're enjoying these conversations, please hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and share this episode with someone who might need it today. It really helps us keep this podcast going, and honestly, it means the world to us.
It really does. Okay, so today's episode is a B1 to B2 level episode, which means we're going to use some richer vocabulary, some idioms, some phrasal verbs, but we'll keep our sentences clear so you don't get lost. And if you do get lost, don't worry. We'll explain everything later in our word tour.
And today's topic is something I think every single one of us needs to hear. We're talking about finding joy in everyday life.
Yeah, and I think when people hear that phrase, finding joy, some of them might roll their eyes a little bit. Like, okay, here we go, another podcast telling me to be positive.
Right. But that's not what this is. Life is hard sometimes, really hard. We're not here to pretend everything is perfect, because it's not. We all have bills to pay, stress at work, family problems, days when we just feel tired and empty.
Exactly. So today isn't about pretending to be happy. It's about something deeper. It's about learning how to notice the small good moments that are already happening in our lives, even on the hard days.
I love that, because I think a lot of us are so busy chasing the next big thing, the next promotion, the next vacation, the next achievement, that we completely miss what's happening right in front of us.
Yes, and that's exactly what we want to talk about today. So grab a cup of coffee or tea, get comfortable, and let's have an honest, heartfelt conversation about life, joy, and everything in between.
Let's do it.
Okay, so Dom, let me ask you something personal. When was the last time you felt truly, genuinely happy? Not excited, not satisfied, but actually joyful.
That's a tough question, actually. I had to really think about it. And honestly, it wasn't some huge dramatic moment. It was last week. I was making coffee in my kitchen early in the morning, and the sun was coming through the window, and my dog was sitting by my feet, and I just stopped. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, just feeling the warmth of the mug in my hands, and I thought, this is nice. This is really nice.
Wow, I love that. That gives me chills a little bit, honestly.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, for years, I would have completely missed that moment. I would have been checking my phone, rushing to leave the house, thinking about my to-do list. I think for a long time, I took those small moments for granted. I didn't even notice they were happening.
That is so relatable. I think most of us live like that. We're always rushing to the next thing, and life just slips through our fingers without us even realizing it.
Exactly. And that scares me a little, if I'm honest. The idea that I could spend years of my life just rushing and not actually living.
You know, that really hits home for me. I went through something similar a couple of years ago. I was working so hard, trying to build my career, and I told myself, once I get this job, I'll be happy. Once I save this amount of money, I'll relax. And I kept pushing that happiness further and further away.
Oh, I know that feeling so well.
And then one day, I was at my grandmother's house, and she was telling me a story about her childhood, and I just sat there, really listening, not thinking about work, not checking the time, and afterward, I felt this deep sense of peace. And I remember thinking, wait, this is it. This is what I've been searching for the whole time.
Wow.
It wasn't a big achievement, it wasn't money, it was just presence. Being there fully with someone I love.
That's beautiful, Larissa. And I think that's the core of what we're trying to say today. Joy isn't usually found in the big, loud moments. It's hiding in the quiet ones, the ones we usually rush past.
Exactly. And I think the hard part is, our modern lives are designed to pull us away from those quiet moments. Phones, notifications, work emails, social media, they all compete for our attention.
It's like we're constantly distracted from our own lives.
Can I be really honest with you, Dom? Always. Sometimes I feel guilty for feeling joy. Like when things are stressful in the world or when I know other people are struggling,
I feel like I shouldn't allow myself to feel happy about small things. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense. And I think a lot of listeners probably feel exactly the same way. But here's what I've learned. Feeling joy doesn't mean you're ignoring the pain in the world. It doesn't mean you don't care. It actually means the opposite.
What do you mean?
Well, I think joy gives us the strength to keep going, to keep caring, to keep showing up for the people around us. If we only focus on what's wrong, it weighs on us so heavily that eventually we burn out completely. We can't help anyone if we're empty inside.
That's such an important point. Joy isn't selfish. It's fuel. It's what keeps our hearts soft instead of hard.
Exactly. I read somewhere that joy and grief can exist in the same heart at the same time. You can be sad about something happening in your life or in the world and still smile when your friend tells a silly joke. Both things are real. Both things are allowed.
I really needed to hear that today, honestly.
So let me ask you this, Larissa. What do you think stops people from noticing these small joyful moments? Like, why is it so hard for us?
I think it's because we're taught from a very young age to focus on the future. Get good grades so you can get a good job so you can buy a house so you can retire comfortably. We're always preparing for later, and we forget about now.
That's so true. It's like we're trained to delay our happiness.
Exactly. And there's also comparison. Social media makes it so easy to look at someone else's life and think, my life isn't exciting enough, my life isn't good enough. So we brush off our own simple, beautiful moments because they don't look as glamorous as what we see online.
Oh, that's such a good point. We compare our quiet Tuesday afternoon to someone else's highlight reel from their vacation in Bali, and obviously our life feels boring in comparison.
Right, but that's not real life. Nobody's life is a highlight reel all the time. Even the people who look the happiest online have boring Tuesdays too. They have arguments with their partners, bad hair days, moments of doubt.
It's easy to forget that.
It really is. I think we need to give ourselves permission to find our own lives interesting, even when they're simple, even when nothing exciting is happening.
You know, my grandfather used to say something that stuck with me. He said, "Son, happiness isn't a destination. It's a way of traveling." I didn't really understand it when I was younger, but now I think about it almost every day.
That's such a beautiful saying. It reminds me that joy isn't something we arrive at one day. It's something we practice again and again in tiny moments.
Exactly. And I think that's actually good news, because it means we don't need anything special to feel it. We don't need a vacation or a new job or more money. We just need to slow down enough to notice what's already here.
I love that. So what are some small things that bring you joy in your everyday life, Dom? Like specific things.
Okay, let me think. The smell of fresh bread. The sound of rain hitting the window while I'm inside, warm and safe. A really good song coming on randomly when I'm driving. Texting an old friend and they reply right away. Honestly, even the first sip of coffee in the morning, that's a small joy for me.
Those are so good. For me, it's things like watching my cat stretch in the sunlight, the smell of clean sheets after doing laundry, laughing so hard with my sister that my stomach hurts, walking outside after it rains and smelling that fresh earth smell.
See, none of those things cost money. None of those things require us to achieve anything.
Exactly. They're just there, waiting for us to notice them.
I think the real challenge, though, is building the habit of noticing, because our brains are naturally wired to focus on problems, on threats, on what's missing. That's actually how humans survived for thousands of years, by paying attention to danger.
That's so interesting. So you're saying our brains are kind of working against us a little bit?
In a way, yeah. Our brains are excellent at noticing what's wrong, but we have to actively train ourselves to notice what's right. It doesn't happen automatically for most of us.
So how do we train that, like practically speaking?
Well, one thing that helped me was keeping a small notebook by my bed. Every night, before I sleep, I write down just 3 small good things that happened that day. It doesn't have to be big. Sometimes it's literally, the soup I made for lunch was really good. But over time, it changed how I see my whole day. I started looking for those good moments while they were happening because I knew I'd want to write them down later.
I love that so much. It's like you're training your brain to search for joy instead of only searching for problems.
Exactly. And the wild thing is, the more you practice it, the
the easier it becomes. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
That actually makes me want to start doing that too. I think I really need that in my life right now.
You know, before we move on, I want to share one more thing because I think it's important. There was a really difficult period in my life, maybe 2 years ago, where I was dealing with a lot of anxiety. And during that time, joy felt almost impossible to find. Everything felt heavy.
I'm really sorry you went through that.
Thank you. But what I learned during that time is that joy doesn't have to be big or loud to be real. Even on my hardest days, there was always at least one tiny moment of light. A kind message from a friend, a funny video that made me laugh for just a second, sunlight on my face during a short walk.
Wow.
And holding on to those tiny moments, even when everything else felt dark, that's what helped me keep going. It wasn't a magic solution. It didn't fix everything, but it gave me just enough strength to face the next day.
That's incredibly powerful, Larissa. And I think that's such an important message for anyone listening who's struggling right now. You don't need to feel completely happy. You just need to find one small silver lining, one small thing to hold on to.
Exactly. Joy in hard times isn't about ignoring the pain. It's about giving yourself permission to feel both at once, the difficulty and the light.
Beautifully said. Okay, I think this is the perfect moment to pause and do our word tour because we've used some really powerful vocabulary in this conversation.
Yes, let's break down some of these words and phrases so you can use them in your own English conversations. First one, Dom said earlier that he took small moments for granted. What does that mean?
So, to take something for granted means that you don't appreciate something because it's always there, and you assume it will always be there. You don't value it properly. For example, she took her health for granted until she got sick. Or, I took my family for granted when I was young, but now I call my mom every single day.
That's such a useful phrase. Okay, next one. I said that life can slip through our fingers. What does that mean?
This is a beautiful image, actually. When something slips through your fingers, it means you lose it slowly, almost without noticing, like sand falling out of your hand. For example, the years slipped through her fingers while she was busy working. Or, don't let this opportunity slip through your fingers. Apply for the job today.
I love that one. It really paints a picture in your mind. Okay, next we talked about how things can weigh on us. What does that mean?
When something weighs on you, it means it causes you stress or worry, like a heavy weight on your shoulders. For example, her financial problems were weighing on her mind constantly. Or, I could tell something was weighing on him. He looked exhausted.
Great explanation. Okay, next word. I mentioned the phrase burnout. Can you explain that one?
Of course. To burn out means to become extremely physically or emotionally exhausted, usually because of too much work or stress for a long period of time. It's like a fire that finally runs out of energy. For example, he burned out after working 70 hours a week for 2 years. Or, make sure you rest. I don't want you to burn out before the exam.
Such an important word, especially these days. Okay, next, I use the phrase brush off. I said we sometimes brush off our own joyful moments.
Right. To brush something off means to ignore it or treat it like it's not important, often too quickly. For example, she brushed off the compliment and changed the subject. Or, don't brush off your feelings. Talk to someone about them.
Such a common phrase in everyday English. Okay, and finally, I talked about finding a silver lining during hard times.
Yes, this is a classic idiom. A silver lining is a small positive thing you can find even in a difficult or negative situation. It comes from the idea that dark clouds often have a bright silver edge from the sunlight behind them. For example, losing that job was hard, but the silver lining was that I found a better one. Or, even in the storm, there was a silver lining. We got to spend more time together as a family.
I love that one so much. Okay, let's do one more because I think it's a beautiful word. I used the word savor earlier when we were talking about small moments.
Yes, to savor something means to enjoy it slowly and fully, to really pay attention to it instead of rushing through it. We often use it with food, but also with moments, experiences, and feelings. For example, she closed her eyes and savored the first bite of cake. Or try to savor this trip. Don't just take photos. Actually live in the moment.
That's such a perfect word for today's topic, actually. To savor life instead of just rushing through it.
Exactly. So let's do a quick recap. We talked about taking things for granted, things slipping through our fingers, things weighing on us, burning out, brushing things off, finding a silver lining, and learning to savor our lives.
7 powerful pieces of vocabulary, all connected to one beautiful message: learning to notice and appreciate the life we already have.
I really hope these words stick with you, not just for your English, but for your life too. Try using one of them today, in a sentence, in your journal, or even just in your thoughts.
Yes, and if you want, write a sentence using one of these words in the comments below. We would absolutely love to read them.
Okay, so before we say goodbye, I just want to leave you with one final thought.
Me too.
Life isn't usually made up of huge, dramatic, movie-like moments. It's made up of thousands of tiny, quiet ones. The way sunlight falls across your kitchen table, a song that makes you close your eyes for a second, a hug that lasts just a little longer than usual. These small moments, they're not less important than the big ones. Honestly, I think they might be more important because they happen so much more often.
That's so beautifully said, Dom. And I think the real gift we can give ourselves isn't more time or more money or more achievements. It's more attention, more presence, the willingness to actually be here in our own lives instead of always rushing toward the next thing.
So here's our question for you today, and we would genuinely love for you to answer it in the comments below. What is one small, simple thing that brought you joy this week? It could be something tiny, a smell, a sound, a moment with someone you love. We really want to know.
Yes, please share it with us. Your stories truly mean so much to this community. And you never know, your comment might be exactly what another listener needs to read today.
If this episode touched your heart even a little bit, please subscribe, like this video, and share it with someone who needs a little more joy in their life today.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Feel free to watch more videos here.